All right. So for those of you who just walked in, my name is Amit Asaravala. I'm the web developer that worked with Nuruddin and Ryan and several other members of staff to build a new website. The site has not launched live yet, but we're hoping to do that in the next couple weeks ideally. And when we do, this will take the place of your current website. So when you go to statistics.berkeley.edu, this is what you'll be seeing. Does anybody not have the site up if they do have a laptop? It's live-stat.pantheon.berkeley.edu. So this is where we're hosting it ahead of time, and then we'll change the domain name to be statistics.berkeley.edu when we go live. But this is the full functioning site. So let me give you just a few minutes of background while we're getting a couple other people set up. What we've done is we've used a content management system called Drupal to help build the website. And what Drupal is, D-R-U-P-A-L, it's an open source content management system, meaning it's software that we get for free. It's built by developers. It's actually used by the White House. If you go to whitehouse.gov, that's a Drupal website. It's used by The Economist, it's used by The Onion, and thousands of other websites around the world. And dozens, if not hundreds, of Berkeley organizations, departments, labs, institutes are all using Drupal as well. So what I do is I work with Drupal exclusively and a contract developer, and have been working with Berkeley departments and organizations for the last few years, helping them get their sites up. One of the reasons, beyond just being free and being so widely used, that we like it, is because it allows us to create kind of these custom websites that still use certain fundamental building blocks. So once you learn how to use and update, a web page here, you would be able to go do that for any other Drupal website pretty easily. There's a lot of similarities behind them. The other reason we like Drupal is that it splits the content, so the actual text and images of what you want. It keeps that separate in the database. It splits that away from the design, the actual styles and the look and the colors and layout. It keeps that separate. And then it keeps the code, all the software separate. And what that means is that if we need to do an upgrade to the software, we can just upgrade that, and we don't have to touch the content or the style and the design. It looks the same. If down the road you want to change the design, we can make changes to the design, and your content is still there. It's not like we have to rebuild the whole new website from scratch. So this is a big difference from the old days when web pages were a lot of .html files on a server. Over time, you'd start to see these problems where there was one style of doing things 2 years ago, but then people kind of forgot that style or moved on, and they started doing things differently. And so if you look through these web pages, they're kind of all slightly different. And then someone says, I want to redesign. And everybody says, oh, I don't want to do that because I have to go back and change 1,000 web pages. So we don't have to do that anymore. It's really nice. We just change a couple templates, or we change the style sheet. If 2 months from now you say, we really need this font to be bigger. We're all getting older and we can't see it anymore. We can do that really easily just in one style sheet. So it's a really handy system in that sense. So what we've done is we've connected it to CalNet so that it's easy to log in. And Nuruddin has gone through and created user accounts for, I think, pretty much everybody. But if for some reason you don't have an account now, we can set you up with one pretty quickly. So the way to log in is in the upper right corner here. Where's my mouse? There it is. Where it says Members Login. For those of you with laptops, you can go ahead and click on that login link. And if you're already on CalNet and have logged in today, it should just automatically log you in. If you're not on CalNet, it'll take you to the traditional CalNet login page. I'm going to log in a slightly different way, just because I'm going to log in as an admin. So just bear with me for 1 minute. Whoops. And then
We did create Ben's stat paying an account until like a week or two ago, so Marty probably had created the content.
Yeah,
Probably
but
more
we
than
had the content. Okay. I'm not in, I'm still trying to figure things out.
Okay.
So, your COVID IPv4 address. So can I just click on the So that's, oh, just go in there.
Okay. Yeah, so I've logged in as Nuruddin. He's not here, so I get to log in as him. This is why you should always show up to the meeting. No, he's in an exam that has run long, unfortunately. But one of the reasons I want to log in as Nuruddin is so that I can be, a staff member, a faculty member, and show you how he would update his page, and so you can see the same. And actually, I should find out how many are here are faculty. So if you're faculty, raise your hand. One. Okay. Thank you for coming. How many are students? One. And the rest are staff? Is anybody not in any of those three categories? And intern? Okay. And IT. Okay. Okay. So for faculty and students and staff, changing your profile it's all pretty much the same. So the steps I show you will apply to everybody. Is anybody not able to log in? If you're logged in, you should see your name up here and these links. Does anybody not see that?
I'm getting there.
Getting there. Okay. Okay. So if you see that, that means you've successfully logged in. Now I'm seeing a black toolbar because I'm logged in as a site editor. You won't see that black bar at the top. Okay. So you should see 3 links. I'm going to move this page a little bit so you can see that on the screen up there. 3 links here that say profile, intranet, and logout. So go ahead. And what are the 2 that you see?
Profile and logout.
Okay, so you don't have intranet access, so let me give that to you. People, and what is your name?
David Goldschmidt.
Okay.
So has it been decided who has access to the internet and who doesn't, or you don't?
Oh, I see. So I believe what Nuruddin has done is he said that full faculty currently have internet access, and then I don't know if he's decided on whether or not postdocs and visitors have full access yet. I would imagine they do, but I'll talk to him afterward about that. Okay.
Ben, do you need access?
I need access to.
So
He's
okay.
a staff member, so he probably wasn't in the original.
Oh, okay. And your name is?
Ben Saheli, B-E-N.
Okay.
Actually, it should be my username for my.
It would just be your full name usually.
My full
And,
name. My full name is B-E-H.
oh, I'm sorry. B-E-H?
N.
N?
O-O-D.
Okay. Could be that he hasn't created an account for you then, if you're new. So I can go ahead and create one now.
Sounds
Okay. If everybody doesn't mind just bearing with me for 1 second. Yeah, for those of you who just need to catch up, you go ahead. Actually, it's,
Saheli, S-A-H-E-L-I.
actually, Ryan, do you mind setting up his account for him? Okay. And if you could do that on the directory, that'd be great. Okay. Okay. But so other than Ben, if everybody can see the profile link, then I guess we can move on to the profiles. You don't have a profile link. Okay, so we need to connect your account to your profile. I can do that while Ryan's doing that. And your name is?
Jane.
Jane, okay. Is that Jane in your head? Okay, let's see. And you don't have a profile link yet, so let's. That's right, you don't. Jane in your head. Update profile. Okay, so if that should be okay. If you reload your page, and you can click on the you can click up here on the logo. Okay. Has the profile link showed up?
Oh, yes, there it is.
Excellent. Okay. Anybody else missing a profile link? Ryan.
Don't worry about me.
Okay, Ryan, you know how to set yours, right? Okay. All right. And Ryan's, he'll have yours set up in. Okay. Okay. So let's all go ahead and just click on the profile link. And what that does is that takes you to your profile page. So here's Noordine's page. And if you're there, you should see two tabs now, View and an Edit tab. Does everybody see View and Edit tabs for their own profile? Good. So only you can see this because you're logged in, and if you were to go to somebody else's profile, you should not see the View and Edit tabs on their profile. Likewise, if you're logged out, if you're just a regular person viewing the website, who hasn't logged in with special access, they're not going to see these tabs. But as you probably imagine, clicking on the Edit tab is how you're going to edit your own profile page. Yeah.
I don't see that on mine. I mean, I can get in what my name is, but I don't have a view and an edit button.
Okay, let me go there real fast and.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and your name is?
Leori, Leori, Gill, G-I-L.
Right here, okay. You do have a profile page, and let me just see.
You have it, but I don't have it here.
Oh, okay, yeah, let me just change this for you. Okay, hit save. Okay, so if you go ahead and reload the page, you should see it now.
Okay.
Great, sure. Okay, everybody else good? Great.
I shouldn't have a profile yet, right?
Probably not.
I'm going through that, yeah, for him.
Oh,
Okay,
thanks.
he'll create one for you. Okay. All right, so what I want to do is show you kind of what the different fields are that you're allowed to edit on your own profile, and a few little quirks and things like that you might run into. So just before I click edit on Noordine's profile, you can see that there's a few different fields of information that we're collecting. Most of them are optional. So if you actually didn't fill out, for example, your office hours, this thing just wouldn't show up on your profile page. So it's up to you. Obviously, the more information you can provide is better for your students and other members of faculty. And then we'll talk about the publications as well and kind of what you can do there if you're a faculty member. This is a little bit different if you're staff. There's a few different fields here. So like if we go to Ryan's profile page, he hasn't filled out, I think there's a bio for staff as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And then grad students, like if I click on Derek's here. So, you can see there's a number of similarities. He doesn't have office hours, but he does have dissertation advisor because he's a grad student. Okay. So let's.
I'm trying to find my picture. I sent it to myself.
Okay. So go ahead and click on the Edit tab for your profile if you haven't already. And what you should see is a form like this. And like I said, depending on whether or not you're student or staff, you might have a few different fields. And you probably don't have these administrative fields. I'm logged in. Noordine has a slightly higher level of access. But just so you kind of get a sense of what's happening behind the scenes here, for faculty and postdocs and visitors, this is where we set what kind of a profile you have, and we have a kind of a master category, and then your status. So if you were past or inactive, we could set that. And if, unfortunately, you were deceased, we could set the year that you were deceased. So that's in the records, and it notes that on your profile. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down the fields and just talk about them, and I'm going to spend some more time on some of the more complicated fields. And if you have questions, definitely just throw them out. Did you have a question? Or-
Oh, no.
Oh, okay, sorry. So the first two are kind of self-explanatory, display name and alphabet size name. The display name is how you want it displayed on the page, right, and in lists. The alphabet size name, as it says here, is going to be how we alphabetize your name on a list. It's not actually displayed anywhere, but we need to figure out where your name's going to go. So in the display name, if you wanted to list your credentials afterward, PhD or whatnot, you could. If you're junior or the third or whatever, you could definitely just put that in there, however you prefer to have your name spelled. Okay? All right. The photo, how many people have actually logged in already and tried this? No. Just,
Uploading?
yeah, just tried editing their profile. So you have a couple. Okay. The photo field, for those of you who've already done this, you might know there's a couple tricks to it. The reason being is that we have two different versions that the photo that you upload gets cropped in two different ways. So if I go to the page, I'm just going to open a new tab here. If I go to faculty members, for example, there's a photo here, and this is a thumbnail that is consistent for everybody. And so regardless of whatever photo you upload, we wanted to kind of standardize the design of this page and just make it look kind of clean. So we do have to automatically come up with a crop from whatever photo you upload. So that's one thumbnail size, and I'll explain why this is important in a second. And then you go inside to what we call the detail page, and there's another crop size here that can be slightly different from what you upload. Now, we have a tool to let you sort of specify where that should be cropped out of whatever photo you upload. Because, for example, if you upload a photo where you're kind of on the left of the image, if the system would crop it automatically, you might even just be out of it completely, right? Or we've had a couple cases where people have uploaded a photo that might be taken a little bit more, a little closer than what others have taken photos at. Sorry, it's all right. Do you want me to stop for a second or just keep rolling?
I think I need to.
Sorry. Okay, no worries. And so we've had cases where on the list page, let's see if there's any. Well, on this page, it'll crop it so closely that all of a sudden it looks like you're like right up in front of the camera. So let me show you here. Uploading a photo is pretty simple. I can actually hit remove on his. Okay. So if you're looking at a field like this, it says after uploading an image, you'll be able to crop it. So what you do is you click choose file, and you just pick the photo off of your hard drive, and then you click upload, and it will upload the image. I'm just going to reload this page so I don't have to re-upload this photo. There it is. So it should then show you a little thumbnail like this. And then you'll see there's this new button here that says crop this image. So you click on that, you get this little tool that pops open. And this allows you to kind of set the crop. Now remember I said there's two crops we have to worry about? The one on your detail page and one kind of in the master list of people. There are two styles right here.
So wait, when you upload the photo, is it going to both places, to the profile and the list?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's one photo that we take that you upload, you choose, and then the system will automatically use that photo in both places. What we're doing here is we're just telling the system what it should crop in each of those different places.
Okay, so this is in the profile.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Hey Ryan, if I turn off the volume on this, would that be okay? It'll still, okay, I'm getting like feedbacks. Okay. All right. So let me go back so you can just see this. Okay. So I was here on my profile. I was editing the profile. I uploaded an image, and after I upload the image, this little button pops up. Okay. And so you click on crop this image. And it opens up this tool. And you'll see in this little thing here that says select other style to crop. It's not the best worded thing in the world, but if you click on it, you'll see that there's actually two options. So this is the only critical point here is this is the crop for the main photo. And if I switch over to photo thumb, this is the crop for my thumbnail, right? So you need to set both, and you can drag this and kind of crop it however you want your picture to look when it's in a thumbnail, and then however you want it to look when it's on the main page. Okay? Once you've done both, you hit Save Selection. And you do that for each. So you'd set it, and you hit Save Selection, and then you do it again, and you hit Save Selection. And then up here, you hit it'll say Done Cropping, and you hit that, and you go back to your page. And so you've now set kind of the two photo crops. Okay?
Okay, so
Sure.
did you just click on cancel crop?
Yeah, because I don't want to change Nuruddin's
Oh,
photo.
okay, but that's not what we do when we're doing it.
In your case, it will look very similar, but once you hit, so the steps are this.
When we do the save,
You hit Save. Once you hit Save, you do it for the other style.
right,
And once you hit Save again, this will change to say Done Cropping,
oh, okay.
and you click that link. Okay? Yeah, I'm sorry I'm not doing it live just because I don't want to change Nuruddin's
No,
profile.
that's all right.
Okay. So any questions about the photo and uploading your photo? Okay.
Nor is the photographer.
Yeah. So, you do have to kind of remember a couple things, but does that look like you can probably figure it out once you go back to your desk, or if you're doing it now, it's not too hard.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So each individual actually must do their own update, so, if there's a person that has been taking pictures and she's asked to upload the pictures, that person can only upload their picture?
What we can do is give that person site editor access, which would give them access to edit other people's profiles. If you wanted to set up something like that. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I'm just asking, I'm not saying that it has to be done.
Okay. So the other fields on here, these text fields are pretty straightforward. Whatever your title is at the moment, and that includes postdocs. Your sponsor, so if you're a visitor or a postdoc and you have a sponsor, you can put that in there. The next section, the research section, is important because it's going to determine whether or not you appear on the associated research page. So if you don't check anything here, if you're a faculty member, if you don't check anything here, you're not going to appear on that research page. So you should at least check one. And let me show you what that looks like. So underneath the research tab, we have some research areas. So statistics and probability. And underneath each of these sections, there's a little subsection here called researchers. And so here we have a list of faculty, and then going down, there's a list of visitors, postdocs, and grad students that are all current, that have checked off the appropriate box. And so that's how we figure out whether or not your name automatically shows up here. So it has to do with the checkbox here in the primary research area. Then there's a subfocus. Right now the subfocus is something that we are just kind of printing out in this column here, next to your name. There's also a further, just general research interests field if for some reason you kind of want to, be a little bit more specific in a way that doesn't get covered by the subfocus. down the road, because we're collecting the sub-focus separately, there could be a day when the department's big enough that we wanted to split out sub-focuses into different lists and things like that. But it's good for us to be able to collect that data now. Okay. All right. So does any questions about the research checkboxes or
Do you mind going back? I have a question
Sure.
about the cropping.
okay. Yeah.
So when I go into the crop tool.
Yeah.
For one thing, okay, when it says scale, that means that's how big the picture's gonna be at the end once you've saved it. Okay, so it has nothing to do with the crop itself.
So
The crop is just the shape within that, but you're selecting the overall, the end. Okay, so when I'm in the regular photo main, I don't seem to have any handles that, I can move the square, but that's it.
right.
When I go into the thumbnail, then I seem to have that ability.
To scale the image a little bit more.
Yeah.
I will double check afterward. I think it's because on the photo main, I'm presuming your image is pretty close to what they want it to crop to, and so it doesn't want to let you try to shrink your photo down because then you'd be smaller than the crop size.
I see, okay.
I think that's probably why it's doing that.
So then why would you, okay, I mean, if this is an overall size, don't we want these just to be the smallest so that it loads faster?
Well, it's
Why do people sort of have the choice of having the higher resolution photo there or a lower resolution?
there's two places where they're being used. So let me go back to a faculty person here, and then. So here is the smallest, what's called the photo thumb.
Right?
But on your own page, when you click into it, there's a larger version, and that's the photo main version. So it's this. So that's why we're allowing two different versions, because the thumbnail is kind of the head, the close-up headshot, whereas this one, we still want to kind of restrict the dimensions just to keep the page looking all consistent. And some people may have photos that are wider or taller or whatever. We just want to be able to kind of cut a good proportional, piece out of it. Okay? Did that answer your question?
Kind
Kind of. Okay. Well, maybe afterwards we can talk about it a little bit more.
of, okay.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go back to research. Actually, I'm going to go back to editing. Here we go. Okay. We talked about research. So contact information, straightforward. You can plug in information here. If you have a website that's kind of like your own faculty website, your own student website, that's not this profile page, obviously, then you can plug in the URL to that. Likewise, if you have a page on VC Research, you can plug in the URL to that. Okay? Yeah.
I don't have the office hour option.
Yeah, so staff members don't have office hours, so we didn't have that
Figure it
field.
all the time. Okay.
Right.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's a good question. So I'm looking at in particular Nuridine's faculty record, but there's a few different fields for grads. So brief bio should be on everybody's record, and so you can enter in whatever you want. I will spend a few minutes talking about this in a minute and kind of what these tools mean in this editor, but I'll come back to that. I just want to make sure we get through the full list of fields. So for those of you who do have publications, and I think that's students, faculty, postdocs, and visitors, you have two options for publications. One is just kind of this text area, and you can put in however you want, your bibliography of latest publications. There's also an import option. It's been a little bit tricky, so we're not 100% sure. It's kind of experimental, but if you were to click on this import publications, it would pop open in our case, a new tab. And you can upload a BibTeX file. So you can just choose a BibTeX file that has the latest 10 publications that you wanted to have listed on your page. You choose it, and then you just hit import, and it will do its best to create, just regenerate your publications list based on that. So Nuruddin, in testing it out, in particular, he has kind of an interesting case because his last name is actually 2 words, and so there's some special markup in his BibTeX files to try to denote that that's one token. So he's noticed a couple problems in that specific case with the importer. And he's opted to just do the, let me go back here, to just paste in his publication and kind of manually edit it here. But I would suggest you can give the import a try if you have a BibTeX file or you generate a BibTeX file and you want to try it that way. And then if you want to give Nuruddin and Ryan feedback, it'll get to me and we can take a look. In some cases we might be able to fix a small issue. In other cases, it may just be the fact that this is still experimental. Okay. Are there any fields on the grad student or staff ones that are not here that anybody wanted me to talk about in particular that you're seeing?
So in the brief bio, so underneath, there's a text format, and then it says revision information.
Yeah.
What's
So
that about?
okay. So there's actually a few different things. So let me talk about the field itself and these toolbars, and then we'll talk about some of those other things. So this is what's called a WYSIWYG editor. What you see is what you get. And you may have seen this other places around the web. They do their best to approximate like Microsoft Word with this. But Microsoft Word is a multi-billion-dollar product developed over years by Microsoft, whereas these WYSIWYG editors are open source software that has to try to convert what you enter into it into HTML, which is kind of the native language of the web. So there are some limitations and some quirks. What I want to do is just kind of quickly go through these buttons, point out quirks where I can, and answer any questions. Once you get in there and start playing around with it, you'll kind of get more comfortable with it. The first couple buttons are actually really simple. They're bold and italic, so you can type in text into your editor, you highlight something, and you click bold, and as you saw, it made it bold. That should be pretty comfortable with that if you're comfortable with Microsoft Word. You can undo it by highlighting it again and just clicking the bold button again. The next one is a strike through. I can't remember why we added that, if there's a particular case, but I'll check with Nuruddin. So some of these buttons we can like add or take away. The other next 2 buttons, these 2 here, it's a bullet points and numbered list. So kind of like Microsoft Word, you type something out, you can highlight it and click bullet points or click numbered list. You can actually, these next 2 are indent and outdent, or remove indent. Those can actually work on bulleted lists to create a sub-item, and you can even go many levels deep if you needed to. Or, just for regular text, you can indent just the text a little bit if you needed to. Okay. So that gets us all the way to here. Any questions so far on kind of the basic buttons? Seems pretty straightforward, right? Okay. So let me show you now. This next button is a link. It's actually a globe with a little link underneath it, a chain. So if you highlight some text and click on the link, you can actually, you can paste in to wherever if you want to link to something. Like if in your bio you've got a publication that's somewhere else, you could link to that. Or if you want to link to your alma mater or something like that, you could do that. Okay. And then once you link something, so here I'm just going to link to Google. Hit OK. It's kind of hard to see on the screen here, but that's actually turned blue to indicate that it's a link. If you put your mouse on it, click on it, you'll see that this next icon just lit up, and that's an unlink. So you can just click on that icon and get rid of the link. Okay. Any questions about linking? Okay. yeah, pretty easy so far. The image will not appear on most people's, right? I think this is, I'll have to double check. Are you seeing the image icon?
Yes,
You do have it?
and when you open it, it's got something that looks like Latin.
Yeah, it's got some just example text. I'll have to talk to Noreen about this. I don't think that we were planning on doing inline images, but just for your edification, what that does is it allows you to actually insert like an image in the middle of the bio, but I don't think we were planning on doing that just to standardize the design. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to cover it now. The next two are superscript and subscript. So again, you can highlight something, hit the superscript button, and you'll see that that text is now a superscript. Or you can make it a subscript. I think I've subscripted a superscript. Never tried that before. There we go. Okay. So I want to spend a minute talking about these next two buttons. They're pretty important, actually. This is kind of, I was talking about some quirks. So this one that the cursor's pointing to says paste from Word. And that's actually, it's probably a little bit too specifically named. It really should just be paste from anything. And the reason I say that is because if I were to, well, let me try this. If I grab that little bit of text and I copy it, and then I do Control V and paste it, okay. So if you can see that, I know it's kind of hard, but it's actually a slightly smaller font size than the regular font, because this is pretty small. It copied over the font size and brought that into our editor. Again, it's what you see is what you get. It's trying to keep things visually consistent. The problem with that is that we don't really want that small font size in our body. We like to kind of keep our text consistent with the rest of the website, and we have a certain style for our website. If you copied from another website with like a background color, that background color would get pulled over. The font color might get pulled over. So what the paste from Word or paste from anything button does, if I open that first and paste into there first and hit OK. So can you see that there's a difference here? It strips out formatting that we don't want. It strips out the font size, it strips out the color, strips out background colors. This becomes really important if you have a Microsoft Word document, and I think this is why it's called Paste from Word, where there's a lot of formatting in there, but that's kind of really specific to the way you wanted that Word document to look. And a lot of people, will type up their bio in Microsoft Word and then want to paste it into here. And what I recommend is just anytime you're pasting into one of these WYSIWYG editors on the website, that you always use the Paste from Word option first and paste into there. Because for this very reason that we don't want to have strange font sizes and strange line sizes, line heights and things getting pulled in. The other reason it's important is we want to think semantically, not like stylistically. And what I mean by that is the text has certain markup behind it that tells your web browser, that tells search engines, that tells screen readers, if you're blind, things about the text. It's kind of like metadata about the text. So behind this, there's a disable rich text button here. If you click on that, you actually kind of see what's behind the curtain. This is what's the HTML markup that's getting generated by whatever you put into the WYSIWYG editor. So what is happening here is like there are P tags which stand for paragraph. That's saying, hey, this is a paragraph of text. There's an OL tag, meaning this is an ordered list. It's going to be a numbered list. And this is all really important. Like if you're a screen reader, if you're blind, you're using a screen reader to read the website, that screen reader will say, okay, numbered list, number 1, and then read that off to the person who's using that. That's really important to them. Likewise, Bing or Google will use that markup to kind of understand how your document's laid out, and then it will weight certain things differently for search results. So that's what I mean by semantically. Think about the meaning of how your document is set up, and that translates to everywhere. If you're in Microsoft Word creating a document, use the Microsoft Word's bullet point function to create actual bullet points. Don't just kind of insert a neat little icon to create bullet points, because that's not semantic. And then when you copy that over into here, this isn't going to know what those neat little icons are. But if you use Microsoft Word's bullet point option or numbered list option, that will actually copy over here just fine. Likewise, in Microsoft Word, a lot of people, when they create like paragraphs and create section headings, will just change the font size and make the section heading bold. But like I said, when you copy over here, we want to strip out font sizes and things like that. So you have to think semantically. In Microsoft Word, there's actually sections up at the top that say heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. So if you're familiar with that, I definitely recommend using that. If you're not, you might want to ask somebody, kind of how to use those headings semantically to actually mark up the sections in your documents. And that goes for not even just this particular use case in this particular website, but in general, starting to kind of think semantically when you create documents, whether it's here or Microsoft Word or Adobe Acrobat, whatever it is you're using, that starts to have a lot of benefits when we're copying from one system to another or putting things up on the web for to be indexed by Google and whatnot. Okay. And then the eraser button removes all formatting. So if I go back to, there we go. If you do make the mistake of copying a bunch of stuff into here that has a lot of different formatting, and you don't want to have to completely redo it, you can actually kind of selectively highlight certain parts and then click on the eraser. And if you can see that, it removed the formatting from the part that I highlighted. Okay, it's a handy little tool. And the final button is just, it's an insert special character, so it tries to give you access to some of the more commonly used special characters if you have an accent over your name or if you're entering in somebody else's name that has like a tilde or something. You're not limited to just what's on that thing. You could actually paste in any character, any font. The font won't carry over, but the character will. So, if you have some text in Chinese, if you have some text in Hindi, it will actually carry through and will remain preserved on the website. Okay. So I know that was kind of a lot quickly, but are there any questions about using the editor?
Inside the box, you can actually manipulate the text any way you want, right?
Yeah.
Delete or move or right or left or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can delete, you can do whatever you need to do in here and kind of fix stuff up. And there's actually, I'm off the screen here a little bit, but there's actually this little thing down here in the bottom right. It's called a grippy. You can click that and drag it if you need a little bit more open space in your window, if you can see that. Okay. All right. Okay. So that's that. Are there any questions about the WYSIWYG editor? No? Okay. Some of you are seeing a format or text format option down below this. Maria, I think you're seeing one that says full HTML.
It says disable rich text and then filtered HTML.
Yeah. So I think what we need to do is actually change that so they don't see that. But that just kind of determines what you're allowed to put into here. Yeah. And so it should just be set on filtered HTML for those of you who see it. Okay.
So that's something that we should pay attention to.
Yeah. Just in the interest of time, I'm not going to go over that.
And then there's something that says revision information.
Right. So down at the bottom, and I've got a little bit more than you do because I'm logged in as a site editor, but does everybody have the revision information box just down at the bottom of the form? Yep. Okay. Great. So what this does is this allows you to keep a revision. So if you come back in a month and you make a big change to your profile, you can actually check this box. You can even leave yourself a little message as to why you're saving a revision. You can say, got promoted, changing a few things, or whatever, or really trying to impress the funder for that grant, and then you can hit save. I'm going to do that for Noureddin here. Okay. Oh, I made a bunch of changes, didn't I? All right, let me reload the page and then do it. Nurine's going to come back and be like, what did you do to my profile? This is why we have nightly backups. Let me change one thing for him. How about this? Okay. Testing brief bio during training. So let's say Nurine comes in here and updates his bio, but he wants to keep a revision of the old one around just in case. Okay, so you do that and you hit the save button. And that's just one important thing. I think most of you know this, but after you make the change, don't forget to come down here and hit the save button, because otherwise your changes just aren't saved, right? Okay.
Actually, I had a question. So if, let's say you have it in your text editor, and then you go home for the day, and you come back, and then you hit save, is there a chance that it will log you out before committing those changes?
No, you should stay logged in until you explicitly log out. It's possible that maybe CalNet logs you out after a certain number of time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of indeterminate as to what happens in that case. You might get lucky and you're still logged in and CalNet's still logged in.
Okay.
Drupal won't log you out, but CalNet might. Yeah. Okay, so you see that we have added a little bit of bio text for him. What you should see now is there's now a new tab that's added up here that says revisions. And if you click on that, and only you can see it, or site editor, and you'll see here's the two revisions. So you could actually go back, you could look at that old revision, and you can see that there's no bio line in there. And you could, if you wanted to, revert back to that old revision by clicking the revert link. And just, sure, I want to go back to that old revision. And there you go. So now if I click view, I'm back to where I was before. So that's just a handy little tool. Okay. So we've covered everything that you need to know to keep your profile up to date. How to log in, how to go in, how to change your fields and whatnot, how to add a photo. I recommend that you log out when you're done. And you're not going to see the black toolbar, but you'll see this logout link right there underneath your name, right above the search bar. If it's your own computer, it's probably fine, but it's just kind of a good habit to get into so that somebody doesn't walk by and while you're not at your desk and decide to change your photo to something else. So, are there any questions about any of that we've covered? No? Okay. Does it look pretty intuitive? Like it's okay. Good. All right. So we have an hour left. And what I want to do now is transition into some of the features that are really for people who are going to maintain the site on a regular basis, adding news to the homepage, changing content on pages. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I do that, the intranet. I apologize. Let me spend a few minutes talking about the intranet for those of you who are interested. So you should have an intranet link if you have access to it up there in the corner. And like I said, I think staff, faculty definitely have access. I'm not sure if grad students do or not at this moment. And I'm not sure if postdocs, I think postdocs and visitors don't at the moment, but we'll talk to Noreen about that. So clicking on intranet, you'll see kind of this list of options, and it's just content that that staff members who have access to add to the intranet have put up. And Nerdine has kind of done the initial pass through to put up content that you might find interesting. And it's really for you as a department to decide kind of what content goes here. If you're not logged into the website, you're not going to see this. And if you're not logged in with access to the internet, you're not going to see it. So, it's a list of committees, how to reserve rooms, how to post news and events, information for staff. So, and we can add pages, we can edit pages, and so on. Okay. All right. Okay. So if you're interested in hearing about how to edit the other stuff on the website, definitely stick around. I'm not sure who all gets full access to do that. But, you know, if you just find it interesting, definitely feel free to stick around. Okay? All right. Okay. And feel free to, you know, if you decide you need to leave at any time, that's not a problem too. Do you want me to stop and do a new recording, or should we just keep going on this one?
Sure, let's do that, just in case.
Okay. We are recording this, so, you know, don't feel like, oh my gosh, I have to remember everything that you just talked about. You know, he's gonna put up a recording.
So I'm gonna go to the restroom. I'll be